This is the Build Zone podcast.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to episode 120 of the Build Zone podcast. My name is Allison Jackson, joined by Mike Maloney over there.
What's up?
What's going on? Our presenting partners, Palmer and Sicard. Tell us a little bit about them.
Palmer and Sicard, they are very active on LinkedIn. One of the things we like to do for our sponsors is kind of talk about some of the posts that they put up, but they put up something a few weeks ago that talks about one of the benefits of having a big warehouse, so that they'll be able to prefabricate some sheet metal and plumbing before it's sent out to the job site for installation. Doing this saves time and money and ensures consistently quality control. Well, the last couple of weeks, the employee owners over at Palmer and Sicard have been getting some plumbing put together and ready to ship out. They did a project over at 89 Holland Way in Exeter, New Hampshire. You can see those pictures on their LinkedIn, and you can also click on the post at the LinkedIn for job opportunities. So thanks to Palmer and Sicard. We also want to thank the Gould Construction Institute. We talked about it the past few weeks, but school is winding down. We've got some classes still going on. So if you're a student listening or a teacher listening, appreciate your dedication. Cut more classes and you will be done. Thanks to all the teachers and all the students as a part of the Gould Construction Institute family. And we're going to introduce something new this week. It's called Three Things. First thing we'll talk about is the best thing I saw this week. And I figured that because it's a new segment and then it's kind of something we kind of just came up with. But one of the things that I saw this week that I thought was pretty amazing was doctors combine a pig kidney transplant and a heart device in a bid to extend a woman's life. Doctors in New Jersey have transplanted a pig kidney into a woman who was near death, part of a dramatic pair of surgeries that also stabilized her failing heart. Combination of heart and kidney failure left her too sick to qualify for traditional transplant options. The doctors at NYU devised a novel 1-2 punch, implanted mechanical pump to keep her heart beating, and then later transplanted kidney from a genetically modified pig. Your thoughts, Alison, on this woman second chance at life here?
I mean, miracles happen. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, it's incredible. I also don't know how I would feel about having a big heart. Yeah, that's I have no science is not my brain doesn't work when it comes to science and math. I'm a creative, so I can't even conceptualize how people can come up with this idea in the first place.
Right? That's crazy, right? Who thought of that? Whose idea was that?
Well, like talk about finding, a solution out of nothing, like genuinely creating a solution to something that never existed before. Not to be so literal, but that's incredible that this woman now can, and she's living a normal life. She's recovered and
Yep.
Wow. I think it's great. I think it's a great thing. I think if I were her, I'd be very happy. I'd also maybe feel a little weirded out, but I feel like that's something you get over. I mean, especially, dealing with such crazy surgeries, but.
And you think about the family, right? The quote is the husband saying, the surgery, I get to see my wife smile again. And like I said, we have to congratulate not only the staff down there, but the family that gets to see their mom or their grandmom or their wife again. This is fantastic news. It's just 2024, we're putting pig kidneys in people, genetically modified pig kidneys in people's. That's wild. And then the next thing we'll talk about on the three things is we're going to give them a follow. We're definitely going to give the folks down at the Haynes Group a follow. If you're not following the Haynes Group on LinkedIn or social media, they're doing some great things. They're building a beer garden over in Medford.
So cool.
Mystic Valley Parkway. The pictures are seem amazing. And with that, we'll add who's crushing it, right? I think Patrick Andrews is crushing it because not only is he the lead over there, the project manager over there, but they made a beer named after Patrick Andrews. So we need to get a hold of one of those beers.
Definitely.
Hopefully we'll see him down at Skills USA this week. So that's it. The best thing I saw was a woman with a kidney transplant, modified pig kidney. Give them a follow, folks with the Haynes Group, and we're going to give it to Patrick Andrews, who's crushing it. And this week on the podcast, we have a gentleman by the name of Wissam Akra, He is a CEO and founder of a company called Tough Leaf. They're new ABC Massachusetts members, and they're getting ready to put together a webinar for people. So they asked to come on the podcast. We loved having them. And the name of the webinar is Using AI to Find Certified Diverse Firms. And Tough Leaf is a company that helps procure bids from qualified, certified, diverse subcontractors. It was a great conversation. He has an unbelievable construction background, saw there was a need to help, minority-based and minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, try to bid on jobs for larger jobs, right? Bid on jobs, larger contracts. And Tough Leaf helps people do that. He's helped a lot of people, small businesses, minority-owned businesses, and women-owned businesses bid on projects that they may not normally get to bid on. So now we'll hear it from Wissam, and then if anybody's interested in learning more about the webinar is going to be held on May 9th, Thursday, May 9th. It's all going to be done on their website. You can go to toughleaf.com/events/using AI to find certified diverse firms. So it's toughleaf.com. Let's hear it from Wissam. Listeners, we are excited to have Wissam Akra on the podcast this week. He is a CEO and founder of a company called Tough Leaf. They are brand new ABC Massachusetts members, and I was excited to have him come on board and talk to us because he's planning on having a webinar next couple of weeks. And we thought this would be a great chance for him to tell us about the webinar and tell us about his company. Wissam, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Michael. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
And I know, after talking with Shauna last week, it was kind of I appreciate making the time for us today because I know it's Monday, first day back for the work week here, but we want to get you in to talk about how all the exciting things you guys are working on at Tough Leaf and your webinar. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, how it got started, and we'll get right into some of the trends that you're seeing out there every day.
Sounds great. So I'll start by telling you a little bit about myself, founding story, and then we'll talk about Tough Leaf. My background is in construction, so I did civil engineering for my undergrad. Worked on construction projects for a couple of years, did a master's in construction management at Columbia here in New York, and then worked on major infrastructure and development projects. So, I've worked for WSP, Parsons Brinckerhoff, which is a large consulting engineering firm, where I've managed about $1 billion on Second Avenue subway on the Upper East Side of Manhattan. Then moved over to more of a development construction management type role where I managed about $900 million on Hudson Yards, which you can see in the photo behind me. And then moved over to Dragados, part of the ACS group, the largest construction group in the world, where I was managing business development for them in the Eastern United States. And I mentioned all of that because to say that, regardless what kind of company I've worked for, what kind of project it was, we've always had compliance requirements. And those compliance requirements, particularly for using small and diverse businesses, were always a challenge for general contractors, construction management companies, developers, because, where do you find these businesses? And if you can find that they're certified, how do you know that they're actually capable of doing the work? So I was on a $3.6 billion job that we won in Norfolk, Virginia, and we had to give about $900 million to small, local, and diverse businesses, and that was a very difficult undertaking. Around that time, we also saw a lot of penalties happening for those contractors that were not meeting their requirements or were committing fraud. People were going to jail. And I was doing my MBA at Columbia, and I was like, well, this is my chance not to only make good business that can do good financial returns, but also had an altruistic motive of this is my chance to actually make an impact on people's lives, to help small and diverse businesses grow. So I quit my job and I started Tough Leaf out of business school.
I think it's an amazing story. I love the fact that you were willing to give up all that to help somebody else out, right? Especially like you said, these large construction projects, and they're looking for smaller businesses, diversity on the construction site, and people try to take advantage, right? Or you hire the small company and they can't do the work. So tell us about Tough Leaf, how that came to be, and what are some of the things you guys see out there every day?
Yeah, well, one of the major things when I was, on the construction side was, okay, we can go to the government director. We can find that company X is a minority-owned business. Great. But we had 20 questions that we need answered before we can work with them. You know, do they do construction? If they do construction, do they work on infrastructure or residential or commercial? Do they do single family homes or $1 billion towers? Are they in the union? Are they, you know, prevailing wage? Do they pay Davis-Bacon wage? What's their experience? What's their revenue last year? A lot of questions. And if you call a business to ask them 20 questions, a lot of them first won't answer because you have the wrong contact info on the government database. And
Right.
second, you know, anyone has a time to answer 20 questions without knowing why they're answering them. So there's always a problem finding the right businesses, right? Not any diverse business, but the right small business that I'm looking for this particular project. So we found out that the biggest missing thing in the ecosystem was the data on these diverse businesses. So what we did at Tough Leaf was we've collected this data from today over 500 data sources, from certifying agencies, Department of Labor, Department of Finance, and so on, to build a profile on each of these small or diverse businesses. And you can think of it as your LinkedIn profile, but instead of you having to sign up and put that information, we've already collected all of this information for you from verified data sources. So we know exactly all of the certifications you have, whether it's by, you know, the city of Boston or the state of Massachusetts or the federal government. We know what revenue that you did last year. We know, you know, what kind of workers you have. All of these are already there on your profile and you just have to claim it. And because you're a mission-driven company, those profiles are available for any small or diverse business for free. We don't charge them anything. Not when they claim, not if they win a job, never. It's completely free for them. And that's really what Tough Leaf does, is provide these profiles and opportunities to diverse businesses. And then we work with the general contractors, with the government agencies, with the developers, so they can find the right business for them. So the way it works is you put your requirements on our platform by filling out a form. Hey, I'm looking for an electrical company. They need to meet these 20 data points. We have these 20 data points and we match them together. And then we can say, okay, out of the 20,000 businesses in Massachusetts, here are the 7 that can do this work for you in Boston. And then we outreach to the 7, we tell them about the project, we tell them about the opportunity, and we give them the chance to get and win the opportunity.
Sounds incredible, but it also sounds like no one else had ever thought of doing this before. This was something that. Where was your do you remember where you were when you had this incredible idea?
Yeah, I do. I was trying to find diverse businesses for that job in Norfolk. We hired, you know, 3 entry-level position people to just make phone calls to 4,000 businesses. And that was still not getting us anywhere. So I was like, well, you know, the technology is there. No one's doing this. Someone has to do it. And then I looked at what was out there in the market, and what was out there in the market was charging these small diverse businesses for access to that opportunity. And that, for me, just from a conceptual standpoint, doesn't make sense, because these businesses are supposed to be empowered and helped to win more projects. So why are you charging them? Whereas the large businesses have the money, they're the ones who have the compliance requirements, and they're trying to find these businesses, they just don't know how. So that was like a very, you know, that was like a light bulb moment of like, all right, let's try to, you know, create this platform and see if it works. And, you know, 3 years later, now we work in 8 different states with active projects today. We've helped match more than $200 million in contracts last year. This year, in the first quarter, we're already at $150 million. So we're tracking to, you know, do 4x what we did last year in 2024, and hoping to keep it growing.
So you had the idea. Now, with your construction background, how did you get a software? Did you have to go find a software? I think you're laughing because I got a good story to tell you myself about this. You know, we talked to a database company today, right? I do apprenticeship things, and I don't have it. I'm using a spreadsheet. It's a mess, right? It's a gigantic mess. It's a pain in the neck. It's not very organized, right? But I was like, you know, I want to find someone that can do a database to put all my apprenticeship stuff in. And no kidding, someone must have heard me somewhere, because I got an email. Oh, we have an apprenticeship database. So there goes my retirement scheme, and I'm going to retire and create this database. Forget it now; it's over with. But how did you go from that conceptual idea to putting it into play? What did you do after you thought about the idea?
Yeah, I mean, when the idea came up, I was doing my MBA, and then started doing customer interviews. Right, being in the market, I had my hunch of like, okay, this makes sense to me, but I also needed other people to verify that. And we spoke to different general contractors because I was doing business development. I knew like people from engineering companies, contractors, and all of that.
Yep.
So spoke to them. Does this make sense to you? Once we verified that this was actually needed in the industry, not just by Wissam, but like everyone else in the construction industry, started hiring a team because you need to find people with complementary skill sets. And I'm by no means a developer from a technology standpoint. I'm not a software. I can't code. I can understand, but we needed to find people with those skill sets. So that's when we started hiring folks and started working on a prototype that was really early on. That if we compare it to what we have now, obviously we'll sit back and laugh, but it was really the starting point of what we have today.
So, just so that maybe people understand, what are some trends that you see out there every day, and that connecting the smaller, diverse companies to the larger companies? Like, what's the number 3 trend you think of things you're seeing out there?
Yeah, I mean, I think from a business standpoint, the first thing that contractors ask for are the MEP trades, right? I mean, mechanical, electrical, plumbing, HVAC, fire alarm. Those are the things that come up on every project that general contractors or developers are looking for subcontractors, right? So that's from the business standpoint. What we see from like a requirement standpoint is an increase in percentages required, participation required all across the country, right? So when I was in Second Avenue subway 10 years ago, it was 10% of participation. Today, if it's a New York State funded job, it's 36%. It's a New York City funded job. We're seeing things up to 40%. And on affordable housing projects, we're seeing over 50% that has to go to diverse businesses to make full use of the tax benefit. So we're seeing the problem expanding. And then I would say like the third thing I would say is like we're seeing much more what I call sticks, right? What we used to be in the industry 10 years ago is like these were goals. If you don't meet the goals, nothing happens. So no one really, not no one, but the majority of companies didn't really care because there was no business implication. Like, okay, I'll sit in the room with the client, they'll yell at me for an hour, whatever. And that's what a lot of businesses thought. But today, and in the past, 3-4 years, we're seeing the penalties associated with not meeting those requirements. And these can be like from fines in the ranges of millions of dollars. They could be, getting disqualified from bidding on government jobs or being thrown off the job. And if we saw companies trying to commit fraud, people starting to open a company in their
Right.
wife's name and call it a woman-owned, right? Or get a minority partner, give them 51%, but in reality they don't do anything. And luckily, in the past years, we're seeing actual, these cases come out to light and people spending, going to jail. So construction executives anywhere from 3 to up to 20 years in jail for trying to fraud the system. So now everyone's like, okay, well, let me do this the right way,
Right.
and let's meet those percentage requirements. And the big trend we're seeing with a lot of our customers is using this as a business development tool, right? Yes, there's a 40% requirement. I can do it. I can actually do 45% government agency or private developer or Amazon or Meta or whoever it is, because I'm using Tough Leaf and they help me find diverse businesses regardless of where and when and what the specification is. So a lot of our customers are using us to actually grow their business and more of an offensive tool than like just defensive and like how can we meet a requirement.
Have you had any of the diverse companies that you've got working with Tough Leaf come to you and say like, thank you? Like anybody come to you and say like a success story? Someone said, I was mom and pop maybe a year or two ago, and now that with your help, I was able to get some bigger jobs, grow my business. Do you have any success stories?
Yeah, I mean, all the time. That's the most gratifying part of the project, and it's not just with me. With like most of our employees when they go to industry events, when they go to conferences, and they meet people, and they say, "Hey, we were just struggling to find projects, and now we grew 3x in the past year because we found the opportunities on your platform." And I feel that like really helps us raise morale internally because you're seeing that your solution is not only working and you're generating revenue or whatever, but it's also actually affecting people's lives. And I was just at a conference last week when I was talking about a success story with a company called Quality Wet Paint, where they were able to win like their biggest contract ever with a very large general contractor, Consigli, that does work in Massachusetts and New York. on one of their projects. And while I was saying that, the owner of Quality Workplace was actually sitting there and stood up and, talked about his experience. So these are the things that are the most, gratifying in the job and for the company.
I think that's incredible. Like you said, like why you left your job to do what you're doing now, at least you get that's some good gratification there. And I know that you want to talk about your webinar. So you got a webinar coming up in a couple of weeks. Why don't you give us the details about the webinar and what you guys are going to discuss?
Yeah, we have a webinar coming. We're working with ABC, and that's to talk about how Tough Leaf helps. What does the system actually do? A lot more details than I covered today. To take you through the platform, how it's helping general contractors get access to the diverse businesses, the right diverse businesses at the right time, and how is that helping them win more projects and develop more business. We're gonna talk about the details of how that works. And then we're gonna talk also about how we help diverse businesses, how we give them access to these opportunities, and something that we didn't cover yet today are capacity building services, right? A lot of the time we hear from the small businesses that, hey, I need access to more cash flow because now I want a job from Tough Leaf and I need to fund that job. So we've partnered with companies that work on a national scale that will help these businesses get access to that cash flow. Same thing for insurance, for bonding, for health benefits. So we're trying to create this ecosystem for these small businesses to get access not only to opportunities, but are they best suited to tackle those opportunities? And we'll get through all of that in the webinar that we'll have coming up.
Do you remember the date for the webinar? Do you remember the date?
Not off the top of my head,
All right.
unfortunately.
I'll edit that part out. Don't worry about that. Because I have it written down, but not my notes. So Tough Leaf, what's next for Tough Leaf? Where do you see it going 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Where do you see it going down the road?
So the one thing we're focusing on right now is building the ecosystem of like, all right, diverse business. You're looking for opportunity, you come to Tough Leaf. You're looking to build more capacity, you'll come to Tough Leaf. And we have a diverse business council that advises us on what kind of back office support they need. So now we're looking to bring on a legal partner and an estimating tool that will help them estimate more jobs. And the legal partner is because they're working with large contractors that hit them with like a 200-page
Right.
document. And they're like, well, I don't know how to read this legal jargon full of 200 pages and protect myself at the same time. And if I go to a lawyer, they're charging me tens of thousands of dollars. So we're working with a couple of national firms that can basically give a fixed price that is reasonable to review these legal documents. Same thing on the estimating side, because they're getting a lot more opportunities that they need to estimate. They don't have enough estimating power in-house. So I want to see how we can partner. And there's a bunch of these companies that use AI to make it easier to find more partners and estimate more projects, I should say. And that's kind of what we're looking for on the capacity building services side. For our general contracting partners, we have a lot of requests that from things that we can expand to. And one thing that kind of was universal is the ability to track spending on projects.
Mhm.
So that's something we're really looking into, and we're working with a major general contractor on building the first automated AI tracking tool that will allow them to always know how much they're spending with small and diverse businesses, split up by geography, split up by segment or project, and different certification. So that's something that's top of mind for us, and we're actively working on that for the next, for the near future.
Now, the Tough Leaf software, is it app-based, web-based? What is it?
We,
Cloud-based?
we're web-based. We're a
Web-based.
web-based platform, yeah. Cloud-based, I should say.
And then Tough Leaf, where'd you get the name from?
So it's funny. We started the company in 21 during COVID, and it was in New York, right? So everything was like New York tough, this stuff, that stuff, and that's like the tough was kind of an homage to with the time that the business started. And Leaf, it really speaks to the tenacity of diverse businesses because they bend but they don't break. So came up with the name 3 years ago. Thought about rebranding a couple of times, and every time I bring it up to the customers, they're like, "No, we actually really like it, and it sounds great to us, and it's not too construction-y, right? Because if you look at all of the construction software, it's like I don't want to pick on anyone, but it's like construct this or build that,
Yep.
or
Yep.
so we wanted to kind of be more on the neutral end.
It was funny. The podcast here was called the Coffee Break Podcast for a long time, for almost 2 years. And a consultant said, it's got nothing to do with construction. You got to change that name. And it's the Build Zone now. So to try to change that. But I always like to ask someone in your position where the name came from, because I'm sure there's a good story. If anybody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that? If you want to give your email address, that'd be great. That way somebody has a question, they can reach out directly to you or someone on your team.
Yeah, if it's something general contractor related, you can contact Nia Brooks, and her email is nia@toughleaf.com, Nia NEAH @toughleaf.com. And then if they're a diverse business, a minority business, small business, then they can contact Shauna @toughleaf.com as well. And then you can always go to our website, www.toughleaf.com. You can, we have a phone number listed there. You can call us at any point. You can schedule a demo directly through the platform. And you can, get firsthand experience on how all of this, what I just explained in words actually works, and they can see it live in action.
And then we'll be sure to put the webinar information in the description of the podcast as well. So when this goes live at the end of the week, this Monday, we'll be sure to send out end of the week. There'll be all the information about the webinar in the description. Now what comes to my favorite part of the podcast is the lightning round. We'll have some 10 rapid fire questions. We insert some lightning sound effects. I'm going to try to force myself to pick some different ones, because I always ask the same ones. I got to ask some different stuff. What is your favorite sandwich and why?
Favorite sandwich, chicken cutlet. Why? Because it tastes great. Chicken, cheese, corn, coleslaw. I actually have my own spin on it, fries, ketchup, and mayo.
Ooh.
That's my go-to.
What was the worst job you ever had?
Worst job I ever had. I don't know if I had a bad job. I had, like, I can say, like, it was the most challenging one probably. I worked for Greenpeace trying to get donations from people on the street, and trying to get people to stop is nearly impossible. Got a lot of people looking at me the wrong way. That was probably the most challenging one.
Are you a morning person or a night person?
Night person.
Popcorn or M&Ms?
Popcorn. Caramel popcorn though.
Which sport would you compete in if you were in the Olympics?
Soccer.
Are you a good dancer?
Average at best.
If you could bring back any fashion trend, what would it be?
Any fashion trend? I used to really like the baggy clothes, like baggy pants. And that's what I would bring back.
If you could do anything in the world as your career, what would you do?
Probably would like to own a sports team.
Ooh, all right. If you could be on any reality TV show, which one would you choose and why?
That's a funny one. There was that. I don't know if they still do it. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Yeah,
Why? Because that gives you the chance to become a millionaire.
love it. If you could choose any person from history to have lunch with, dead or alive, who would it be?
Nelson Mandela.
Oh, no one's ever said that. That's a good one. Would you rather be able to run 100 miles per hour or fly 10 miles per hour?
Fly all day.
Do you have any hidden talents?
Hidden talents. Not I can rap, not bad for an immigrant.
All right, so he's do secret rap. So then we get a rap. Tough Leaf could have his own band, I guess, rap band. And then I always like to ask this one at the end. If you could have, there's a food fight tonight at your house. What is your weapon of choice? And you cannot say mashed potatoes.
Food fight, weapon of choice, eggs.
Oh, that'd be it's like a scrambled egg or like an over easy egg.
An over easy egg, because
Ooh.
then it will get all smushy on the person's face.
I'm not cleaning up your mess. All right, that's our friend Wissam from Tough Leaf, new ABC Massachusetts member, having a webinar in a couple of weeks. Read the description for dates and information, but he's doing some great things and he's looking to help a lot of people. So reach out to him if you have any questions. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I can't thank Wissam enough for coming on the podcast to speak with us. What Tough Leaf is doing is pretty amazing. His story was great. I hope everybody enjoys it. But if you're interested in learning more about the webinar, please go to toughleaf.com/events and register for the webinar. I know we'd love to have a lot of people on it, but and we're very happy to have him as an ABC Massachusetts member. We've talked about this before, school year is winding down, but training is winding up. What do you got for us, Allison?
Training never winds down as far as GCI, which, oh, it's a good thing never to be bored, right? So we have pipe fitter prep for journeyman exam coming up. That's May 4th and 11th. You do have to attend both sessions. That will be held in Woburn, Mass at our GCI ABC Massachusetts office. Then we have a Hoist 1C2A continuing education class on May 11th, also at our Woburn office from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. And then May 18th, we have a signal certification and basic rigging safety class, also in Woburn, Mass from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. So definitely get your training in this May. We have lots going on to check out at gwgci.org/events.
Awesome. And then now comes my favorite part of the podcast. It is time for the news. This week's news is brought to you by elite partners over at Energy Electrical Contractors, Metro Walls, and Veterans Development Corporation. Thanks to them for sponsoring the weekly newsletter and the news. We'll start off by saying ABC's construction backlog indicator rebounds in March. Contractor confidence improves. That's good news. We're going to talk about construction materials prices increasing about 0.4% in March over compared to the previous month. Again, all this information is shared in the newsletter that gets sent out from Charlie Scipio. It's about upcoming events on the ABC Massachusetts side. We have the legal roundtable coming up Wednesday, May 1st. It's going to be here at the Woburn office from 8 to 9 a.m. There's a legal roundtable taking place on Wednesday, May 8th called How to the right way here. What is that? How to identify and avoid the hidden legal risks of using artificial intelligence on Wednesday, May 8th, presented by Ron Siccardi from Hinkley Allen. Again, Woburn office, 8 to 9 a.m. There is a ABC Mass and DBIA New England networking event. The Design Build Institute of America is hosting a joint networking event at Polar Park. You can stay for the Red Sox game. This is separate than the Student Appreciation Night, which usually takes place at Polar Park, but is not this year. This is something totally separate. So if you're an ABC Mass member and you want to network with the Design Build Institute of America, you can sign up today through the newsletter. And we want to make sure that we remind everybody that the Student Appreciation Night, Teacher Appreciation Night taking place on Thursday, June 6th is up on the GCI website. You can register to attend. It is free for students and teachers. If you're a GCI teacher and you want to attend, let us know. You can register right on the GCI website. It's going to take place in 5 days. There'll be food and drinks and games. There'll be some awards handed out. We're looking for sponsors of the event. If you would like to sponsor the event, let us know. Let Allison know, Allison at gwgci.org. It's going to be a great night. We're bringing the event back to the Woburn office here, not going out to Worcester this year. We're going to stay local. Hope to see a lot of people, a lot of students. It'd be great to see everybody. Why not? Come to the event, support everybody. That'd be fantastic. Then we've got the golf outing up. I spoke to Carol this morning. Sponsorships are flying. We've got one more T-Box sponsorship available. If you're looking to play golf, reach out to Carol at abcma.org. Takes place June 20th. It's the big event. It's a 10 a.m. shotgun start. It's a great day. It's a great event. It was sold out last year. It's going to sell again this year. Register today. And then we'll talk a bit about the folks over at Skills USA. Steve's down there this week. We're looking forward to have an update next week. We'll have some pictures and some video. Cannot thank the volunteer judges enough. Patrick Anders again, killing it. Aaron Johnson from the Haynes Group. Adam Haywood, Roberto Reyes, Joe Marson, Gary Gothier, Rachel James, Victor Fernandez, Christopher Pizzi, and Craig Childress, all volunteering out at Blackstone Valley Technical High School out there to help with the competition. And then for the Building Mass careers, there's a Brockton Area Construction Career Day. ABC Mass members are encouraged to register. If you have a company down that neck of the woods and you're looking to hire some local people, it's a great event to go down to. There'll be a lot of people there. It's held at Massasoit Community College in Brockton. Some member updates. We've got Groom Construction celebrates completion of the $14 million Coolidge Corner Theater expansion. They're killing it out there. So congratulations to Groom Construction. Metro Walls supports Hollis Fire Department's live fire training. Sounds like a great day. The Metro Walls folks will there to contribute with their drywall expertise to enhance the training environment for the Hollis, New Hampshire Fire Department. And then we've got Procon celebrating the opening of Can One USA manufacturing plant. Read the story yesterday. They're going to produce something like 2 billion beverage cans out of this facility in a year. So that's pretty awesome. Giving some great job opportunities to folks in Southern New Hampshire. For those that don't know, Natick-based Eastern Insurance Group was a wholly owned subsidiary of Eastern Bank, has transitioned in Gallagher a leading global insurance and risk management brokerage. Congratulations to them. And we love talking about the folks over at MAS Building and Bridge. They're winning world-class awards for safety and craft training. They're a great team over there. And as always, if you want to be on the podcast, reach out to me, Mike at gwgci.org. We love having listeners reach out to us. If you have ideas or content ideas or anything like that, want to be a guest, reach out. Remember to like, tag, share, and follow. We're on social media. We're on LinkedIn. We have our own YouTube channel. Love to have some more involvement. We'd love to have people be part of the group. And we look forward to seeing everybody next week. So talk to you next week.